All right, welcome back to our Real America's Voice and streaming teams here. I want to tell you about WhyRefi.com, WhyRefi.com. Of course, if you have private student loan, they are the people that can help you get rid of it. 45 billion of that is labeled as distressed in the United States. 45 billion out of 300 billion in private student loans. WhyRefi refinances distressed or defaulted private student loans that others won't even touch. When the payment on your distressed or defaulted private student loan is so big that you can never get ahead in your finances, WhyRefi is your best option. WhyRefi can save you thousands of dollars by refinancing and even lowering your total cost. You can finally take control of your student loan situation with a plan that works for your monthly budget, and that's the key. They're going to look at what you can afford. Doesn't matter if you have bad credit. They're going to set up a payment situation that you can actually afford. So it doesn't matter if you're looking at a payment right now and you're like, there's no way I can fit that into my monthly budget. They will get it so that you can work around it, that you can actually afford it and start getting ahead on this debt. Can you imagine being debt-free and not living under this burden anymore? The first step is contacting WhyRefi. So just call 888-WhyRefi34. That's 888-WhyRefi34, or visit WhyRefi.com, YREFY.com. And the best part is you can trust that they're good people. The people that run WhyRefi are amazing. They've stood by us, and they've stood by this show, and they stood by Turning Point, and they'll stand by you as well. So you can trust them. Take our word for it, please. WhyRefi.com. All right, so we're going to continue on with Dr. Azerrad from the great Hillsdale College in just a second. We welcome back National Radio. But he wrote a piece about, it's 2016, so 9 years ago, where he traced the roots of the modern left in this confusion of what socialism is versus communism, and are there different versions, and what are most Americans, especially Millennial and Gen Zers, who seem to be drawn to this? What do they actually mean when they say socialism? I think it's an important distinction and important conversation to have. So we're going to welcome him back with radio in just 1 second. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. Mikey McCoy, Chief of Staff here at Turning Point USA. Actually, I want to welcome him into the conversation, Dr. Azerrad. He's with me here in studio. Mikey, go ahead. The floor is yours, Mikey.
Yeah, Doctor, I think there's a place where you graduate beyond reason, and the left is really good at doing this. Men being in women's restrooms is beyond reason. Teachers that you entrust with your children doing finger guns at their neck at a No Kings rally to mock Charlie Kirk's death is beyond reason. And arresting grannies for being on the steps of the Capitol during January 6th is beyond reason, especially when those same people who celebrated the arrest of old ladies for being on the steps of the Capitol then hit Trump saying that it's not an insurrection and he shouldn't try to stop crime in some of our biggest cities by enacting the Insurrection Act. And so, Doctor, the left is headed to increasingly to a place where they just do not care about common sense or reason. And I'm a little worried. There's institutions like Hillsdale, but at these woke universities, I'm worried that these teachers are continuing to teach their students that reason no longer matters. And this isn't just on the universities. This is a thing as a whole when it comes to the left. What are you seeing when it comes to that?
But let me give you some good news. The 60s radicals, where a lot of these ideas basically entered the American bloodstream and became mainstream. Look, the 60s was a failure because they failed to destroy the country. But it succeeded insofar as these people grew up, got PhDs, cut their hair, and became the professors who run the universities that are the nerve center of the regime and that credential and train the elites. But the 60s radicals, I think, were genuine revolutionaries who, all in all, did not want to be another brick in the wall, if you're old enough to get a Pink Floyd reference. I think the professors today and many of the students are, for the most part, small-souled. They do not have the courage of their convictions. They talk a big game, but if you were to apply the slightest bit of pressure, I believe most of them would fold like lawn chairs. Let me give you maybe a flippant example. Threaten to revoke their parking privileges at the universities, in red states at public universities. if they don't start behaving. If they stop pushing the crazy tranny agenda, most of them will fold. We're dealing with an enemy that in a sense appears impressive because their pieties appear to be authoritative. They make so much noise. They control the institutional high ground. But on the other hand, my experience from debating them, reading their works, interacting with them, suggests that most of them are not true fanatics. They're just not used to encountering real opposition. And I think Trump's agenda in the second term on the universities gives us a glimpse into what could be possible. But we need a lot more of that, and we need red state governors to start putting pressure on their universities. It is completely unacceptable that public universities in red states are subsidized by tax dollars and continue to promote and teach completely unhinged theories. I would say to Governor DeSantis, shut down every sociology department at a public university in Florida. It's a free country. If you want to study sociology, go to Rollins College or go to another state. But we, the taxpayers in Florida, will not subsidize these corrupt disciplines. Same things with environmental studies, women's studies, queer studies, black studies. If it's got studies in it, as a rule of thumb, it's a corrupt, bogus discipline. Shut it down.
Charlie would be cheering you on right now, Doctor. So what do you say to the rebuttal, though, where then they just say, well, I thought you were pro-free speech. This is like Nazis burning books.
Well, I'm not forbidding the teaching of these disciplines. I'm saying they will not be subsidized by tax dollars. So I brought up Rollins College as a private liberal arts college in Florida. Let them teach whatever the hell they want. But why are red states subsidizing, entire disciplines that are corrupt and don't contribute to the common good? Look, why do we have public universities? They're meant to serve the common good. We can exercise a judgment and say that certain disciplines do not, and we won't subsidize them. We'll shut them down. Go teach it somewhere else. It's not, not teaching a book is not the same thing as forbidding its distribution. When you go to Barnes and Nobles and they have these BS displays of banned books, removing a book from a public library is not forbidding Amazon to sell it. It's saying the tax dollars are not going to be wasted on this garbage.
Well, Dr. Azerrad, this has been a really important conversation. I'm going to keep you over the break just for a minute or two, and then we're going to have Jordan Harmon from Angel Studios coming in and joining us about his new film. So I got to move quick here, but you wrote this article. I'm just going to tease it for the audience here, and if you can't get it on radio, please check out the podcast. But you wrote an article in 2016 talking about the new Red Scare. And you basically made the argument that most people, most Gen Zers and millennials, when they say we like socialism, and they these polls that we've all seen, they don't actually know what kind of they don't know what it means. They think it just means we like being nice and maybe a little bit more subsidized healthcare or whatever. So I want you to explain that in just a minute or two after we say goodbye to radio. I'm going to continue on with Dr. Azerrad in just 1 second.